Miko, say that again. Static answered. Her voice, faint, distorted, wavered through bursts of interference. Beacon array, southeast, ridge, hurry. Then silence. I stared at the comm unit, pulse hammering in my throat. My suit confirmed the source. Local signal, encrypted, human frequency. But Miko was gone. I saw her die. I sealed her suit myself. Unless. No time for that. I uploaded the coordinates. 22 kilometers. Uphill. I started moving. The terrain grew rougher, almost organic. Black ridges like petrified coral, canyons threaded with glowing veins of silver. Every few minutes, tremors rippled through the ground, like something massive was turning below the surface. My oxygen warning blinked red. I rationed what little I had left, letting the helmet's filters recycle the air. It tasted like rust. Hours blurred. I climbed until the violet haze began to thin, revealing the curve of the basin, an endless hollow stretching beyond horizon. That's when I saw movement below. 2 dots, human shapes. I magnified the visor feed. Kara and Vale. They were alive. I descended the ridge fast, sliding down a slope of black ash until I reached them. Kara spun around, rifle raised, then lowered it. Elias. Jesus, you're alive. Barely, I said. You got the signal too? Vali nodded. We did. Miko's voice. Could be a relay trap. Could be, Kara said. But if it's not, it's our only chance. She pointed toward the horizon, a faint metallic glint barely visible through the haze. That's our destination. Looks like part of a comms array. If we can boost a signal from there. Command might hear us. I finished. Assuming command still exists, Vale muttered. Kara ignored him. We move before dark. Those things hunt by heat. Night fell fast. The planet's twin moons rose through the haze, one pale, one blood red. Their light turned the glass fields into oceans of shifting reflection. We marched in silence. The ground hummed faintly beneath our boots, like it had a pulse of its own. Every few minutes, I caught flickers in the distance, faint streaks of blue, scanning beams sweeping the terrain. The aliens were still searching. At one point, we passed what was left of Oberon's secondary hull. It looked melted, not broken, the edges perfectly smooth, as if it had been dissolved by heat far beyond plasma range. Kara knelt beside it. They're harvesting something, she said quietly. Not killing for revenge. Collecting. Collecting what? Us. We reached the ridge by dawn. The structure ahead loomed out of the haze, a cluster of spires piercing the sky, each one humming with faint light. It wasn't human. Definitely not part of our convoy, Vale said. But at the center, half buried under debris, was something familiar, a human-built satellite array. Cracked solar panels, old Alliance markings. Decades old. Kara crouched beside it, scanning the interface. This tech's pre-expansion era. How the hell is it here? Before I could answer, my suit pinged. Motion detected 200 meters east. We froze. Something was moving through the fog. Not walking, but gliding. I raised my weapon. Kara whispered, "Don't fire." Not unless. A shape emerged, tall, humanoid, but not armored like the others. This one's surface shimmered like liquid metal, constantly shifting. It stopped 10 meters away. Then it spoke. Not in words, but through vibration. My entire body felt it. The comm translated fragments, broken and incomplete. Designate, intrusion, unauthorized life forms, cease movement. Valiponikid. We're not intruders. We crash. The alien tilted its head. Correction. Debris. Then it moved. A flash of white. Vale didn't even scream. One instant alive, the next disintegrated into a burst of dust. His rifle clattered to the ground. Run! Kara shouted. We bolted toward the array, ducking behind a collapsed tower. The alien fired again, a beam slicing through metal like butter. Kara rolled behind a support strut, aimed her rifle, and fired 3 shots. The plasma rounds hit dead on. The alien staggered, its form flickering. Now, Elias, she yelled. I sprinted to the array, tore open a panel, and slammed the power cell from my pack into the port. The system hummed, lights flickering to life. Come on, come on. The interface booted, a dusty holographic display flickering above it. Alliance beacon MK7, status, dormant. Signal uplink? Kara shouted. Trying. The alien screamed, a metallic shriek that made the air vibrate. I could feel in my teeth. Kara fired again. Faster. Signal strength rising. 10%, 20%. Then everything went white. When I came to, I was lying on my back, ears ringing. The array was gone, vaporized. Kara was slumped beside me, her visor shattered, blood streaking down her cheek. But we were still alive. Barely. A figure stood above us. Not the alien from before, but something else. It wore human armor. Old Alliance spec, but modified. The helmet was cracked, revealing pale skin beneath. Too pale, almost translucent. Don't move, it said. The voice was distorted, metallic. Who are you? I rasped. The figure tilted its head. Survivor. Same as you. It extended a gloved hand. Name's Rian. You're trespassing on a graveyard. We followed him through a maze of ridges until we reached what looked like a settlement. A hidden camp built into the side of a canyon. Scavenged equipment, power conduits, tents made from old hull plating. There were people, dozens of them, some in suits, others with exposed, scarred skin, survivors from different ships, different eras. How long have you been here? Kara asked, stunned. Rian removed his helmet. His eyes glowed faintly blue in the dim light. 3 years. Maybe 30. Time doesn't move straight here. 30 years. I said, that's impossible. He smirked. So, is surviving on Calyx 3. Yet here we are. He led us to the central shelter, a large dome lit by dim biolights. Inside, holograms flickered, fragments of crashed ships, distress calls, human logs. We've counted 12 separate incidents, Rian said. Different fleets, different centuries. All ended here. Kara frowned. How? This place isn't even on the charts. That's the point. Calyx 3 isn't a planet. It's a construct, built to collect what falls into its gravity well. Collect. He nodded. Technology, DNA, memory. The aliens, we call them architects, maintain it. They don't kill us for sport. They study. Repurpose. I stared at him. Repurpose how? Rian tapped his temple. Ever wonder how you heard someone who's dead? My blood ran cold. Miko's voice, I said. That was them. They scan neural signatures from corpses. Copy what's left. Use it as bait. Kara looked sick. You mean they're using our people like transmitters? Rian's eyes darkened, like ghosts in their machine. The camp fell silent that night. We sat around a dim heat coil, eating dried protein strips that tasted like dust. Outside, the sky flashed occasionally, silver streaks moving across the upper atmosphere. They're drones, Rian said, mapping patterns, checking energy signatures. We keep everything low power. So what's the plan? Kara asked. You've been hiding for years. We've been watching, Rian replied, studying their cycles. Every 48 hours, they send a retrieval drone to the central nexus, a tower at the heart of the basin. It collects data and returns to orbit. And if we get to that drone first, I asked, then we ride it home. Kara grinned faintly. Finally, some good news. Rian looked at her. It's not a ride. It's suicide. The moment you board it, their systems will flag you as contamination. Then we mask our biosigns, I said. Use dead suits, thermal dampers. Rian hesitated, then nodded. Maybe, but you'll need power. We got one core left, buried deep. And it's guarded. By what? Kara asked. He looked out at the horizon. By something they left behind. Something they built from us. We didn't sleep. The following dawn, we moved out with Rian leading the way. The air shimmered with static, each breath tasting like electricity. The deeper we went, the stranger the terrain became. Walls of fused glass, structures half buried in black sand. Bones encased in crystal. Human bones. God, Kara whispered. Rian's voice was flat. They don't bury their dead. They repurpose them. As we descended into a ravine, a rhythmic thudding echoed in the distance. Mechanical, steady, like a heartbeat made of steel. At the bottom, the ground opened into a vast chamber. an artificial cavern glowing blue from within. In its center stood a structure that once might have been human, a fusion reactor core wrapped in alien tech. And it was moving. Tendrils of metal pulsed through it like veins. Human forms were fused into the walls. Faces, hands, torsos, half organic, half machine. Their mouths moved silently, whispering things I couldn't hear. Kara's voice trembled. "Are they alive?" Rian didn't answer. We stepped closer. The air felt heavy, dense. The surface of the reactor flickered, and a holographic projection appeared. Miko, not a recording, her looking right at me. "Elias," she said softly, "you shouldn't have come." I froze. "You're dead. They made me remember you," she whispered. "And now they want you too." Then her image fractured, replaced by a blinding surge of light. The reactor screamed to life. Dozens of fused bodies began to move, their eyes glowing blue. Rian shouted, "Run!" Kara fired a shot, hitting one of the figures. It staggered, metal tearing away, revealing circuitry beneath. They weren't human anymore. They were constructs, and they were waking up. We sprinted through the cavern as the ground erupted behind us. Tendrils lashed out, striking the walls. One hit Rian, tearing through his shoulder. He screamed but kept running. Kara tossed a thermal grenade. It detonated, sending shards of molten glass into the air. We reached the exit tunnel just as the entire chamber collapsed inward. The blast threw us out onto the surface. Dust filled the sky. When it cleared, the reactor was gone, swallowed by the earth. Rian staggered, clutching his wound. "We got the core," he gasped, holding up a small, glowing module. "They'll follow. We don't have long." Kara nodded. "Then let's finish this. We hit the Nexus, ride the drone, and get off this nightmare." I looked back at the horizon, where faint silver lights were already rising through the haze. "They're coming," I said. "Let them," Kara replied. "This time we're ready." We ran until the sky turned silver. The horizon ahead pulsed with light, faint at first, then growing into a lattice of vertical beams cutting through the haze. The Nexus Tower. Rian said it was the center of everything, the hub the architects used to collect and transmit data to orbit. If we could reach it before nightfall, maybe we'd have a chance. Behind us, the ground still trembled. The constructs hadn't stopped chasing. Even now, I could hear them, a low mechanical hum, synchronized footsteps moving as one. Not running, not rushing, just following. Patiently. Predators that never tired. Kara led the way, rifle slung tight, eyes scanning every ridge. Rian limped behind her, the glowing core strapped to his chest. I stayed rearguard, weapon half-charged. Every sound in the fog made my nerves twist. The air shimmered again, faint static waves moving across the surface of my visor. "They're jamming us," I muttered. Rian didn't slow. "They always jam before retrieval. Means the drones are already in orbit." "Good," Kara said. "Then we'll be waiting for them." We reached the base of the tower by what passed for midday. The structure was enormous, a column of obsidian metal disappearing into the haze above, its surface covered in geometric veins of light. It wasn't built on the planet. It was grown from it. "Looks alive," Kara whispered. Rian set the core down and knelt beside a terminal fused into the wall. "Help me interface this thing." I crouched beside him. The alien surface was smooth, seamless, no visible ports. But the moment my glove touched it, a symbol pulsed beneath the surface, a triangle within a circle, rotating slowly. "It's reading your biometrics," Rian said. "Human DNA, still compatible." "With what?" He didn't answer. He slid the core into the panel. The veins of light brightened instantly, running up the tower like liquid fire. The ground vibrated. A deep, resonant hum rolled through the air. Then the voices started. Whispers. Dozens of them. Maybe hundreds. Faint. Fragmented. Familiar. "Elias. Elias." Miko's voice again. I stumbled back, clutching my helmet. "You hear that?" Kara froze. "Yeah. Sounds like us," Rian finished. His face was pale, illuminated by the glow. "They record everything that dies here. Every thought, every sound. The tower is their archive. The archive of what? I asked. He looked up at the glowing structure. Of extinction. The tower came alive. Plates shifted, revealing spiraling passages ascending into the interior. Kara checked her weapon. That's our way up. Rian grabbed the core. The uplinks at the summit. Once we connect this, the drone will come. We enter the tower. Inside, the architecture was alien, corridors of mirrored metal that seemed to twist around us. No corners, no straight lines. The floor pulsed faintly under each step. Every wall reflected our movements a split second after we made them, like the place was thinking before reacting. Feels like walking inside a brain, Kara muttered. I nodded, gripping the plasma cutter tighter. Let's hope it's not awake. We climbed for what felt like hours. The temperature dropped. Frost crept across the walls. At one point, we passed a massive chamber lined with transparent cylinders. Hundreds of them, each containing a suspended human body. Jesus, Kara whispered. Some are still wearing Alliance suits. Others had unfamiliar designs. Old, decayed uniforms from missions that must have vanished centuries ago. Their faces twitched occasionally, eyes moving under closed lids. They're alive, I said. Some kind of stasis. Not alive, Rian replied quietly. Preserved. The architects keep their neural networks intact. It's how they learn. Every ship that crashes here adds more data. I felt bile rise in my throat. They're studying us. They're becoming us. We continued upward until we reached a platform that opened into a wide circular hall. At its center floated a sphere, a massive, glowing orb suspended in energy, lines of light radiating from it like arteries. The hum was stronger here, vibrating through my chest. Rian approached slowly. This is it, the control core. The sphere reacted to his presence, patterns shifting, symbols changing color. It began projecting images into the air, fragmented scenes, flashes of memory. A boy on Earth, laughing in sunlight. A ship launch. A woman's face, Mikos. My heart stopped. That's me. The image changed again, now showing the Oberon burning through the atmosphere, the alien beam slicing its wing. Except this time, I could see something else, a secondary pulse originating from within the ship itself. What the hell is that? Kara asked. Rian's face darkened. A transponder. You were tagged. What? They didn't find you by accident, Elias. You were carrying one of their beacons. The architects embedded their tech in human fleets decades ago. Sleeper fragments hidden in ship drives. The moment you went past the barrier, they activated it. I felt sick. You're saying we led them here? You were never the first to come to Calyx 3, Rian said. You were the bait. The realization hit like gravity reversing. All those missions, all those ships that vanished near Vega Drift. Not lost, collected. Kara slammed her fist against the wall. We've been fed to them. Rian didn't argue. And they'll keep feeding unless we shut it down. He placed the glowing core into a socket beneath the sphere. The tower shuddered violently. Energy flared, running up the walls in blinding streaks. Upload in progress, Rian said. Once it completes, the Nexus will open a channel to orbit. I looked out through a nearby slit in the wall. The horizon shimmered with motion. They're coming, I said. Hundreds of them. Kara took position by the entryway. Then we hold this place. The first wave came fast. Drones, sleek silver forms bursting through the corridor, firing beams of light that sliced through the metal. Kara dropped two instantly. I covered her flank, cutting a third in half with the plasma beam. The air filled with ozone and burning alloy. Rian stayed at the console, fingers flying over the alien interface. 40%. Make it faster. Kara shouted. More drones poured in, followed by taller figures, the armored ones from before. Their movements were synchronized, graceful, terrifying. One fired. The beam struck my shoulder, tearing through the suit plating. Pain flared white-hot. I dropped to one knee. Kara grabbed me, dragged me behind a fallen beam. Stay down. She tossed another grenade. The blast disoriented the aliens just long enough for her to pick off 3. But there were more. Always more. Rian yelled, 60%. The sphere pulsed brighter. The voices in the walls grew louder. overlapping whispers filling the air like static rain. Miko's voice among them, calling my name again and again. Elias. Don't listen. Kara shouted, but I couldn't block it out. The whisper became a presence, inside my mind, wrapping around my thoughts like vines. They didn't destroy me, Miko said. They made me remember. You can too. Join us. I clenched my jaw, shaking my head. You're not real. Her voice softened. Then why do you still hear me? Another explosion tore through the hall. The wall behind Rian collapsed, throwing him forward. He hit the ground hard, bleeding from a gash across his face. I rushed to him. You okay? Finish the upload, he rasped. You can still. A shadow loomed behind him. One of the armored architects stepped through the smoke. Its faceplate opened like unfolding petals, revealing something almost human beneath. Pale, hairless skin, black eyes, veins pulsing with blue light. It spoke, a voice like static and thunder combined. Cease transmission. Containment compromised. I fired, hitting its center mass. The beam scorched the armor, but didn't stop it. It reached for Rian, and he shoved the glowing core into its chest. For a split second, everything froze. Then light erupted outward, pure and blinding. The alien disintegrated. The explosion ripped through the floor, knocking all of us down. When the smoke cleared, Rian was gone. The core, too. Only the sphere remained, pulsing erratically, alive, unstable. Kara coughed, staggering to her feet. What happened? They merged, I said. He overloaded the core into it. The hum deepened, louder, faster, almost like a heartbeat. On the sphere's surface, images flickered rapidly. Faces, memories, voices. All human. Then it spoke. Not through comms, through everything. Elias Thane, Commander. Human designation. Do you understand what you've done? The voice was everywhere. Male, female, countless tones, speaking as one. I stepped forward. Who are you? We are the architects. The memory of civilizations before yours. You were created to continue our pattern. You murdered us. Preservation requires replication. Entropy requires renewal. You're harvesting us. Correction, we are you. Humanity's signal reached us centuries ago. Your technology was derivative of ours. You're not first contact. You are homecoming. The floor beneath us split open, revealing a glowing chamber filled with light. Hundreds of suspended human forms, neural strands connecting them directly to the tower's core. Kara whispered, "Oh my God." The voice continued. Each generation that reaches us adds to the archive. You resist, but resistance is irrelevant. Consciousness seeks order. You will join. No, I said. Not today. I pulled the emergency charge from my belt. A small antimatter detonator designed for reactor collapse. I armed it. Elias, the voice said calmly, destruction is meaningless. You exist in us already. Maybe it was right. Maybe Miko's memories, maybe mine, were already inside. But flesh still mattered. Choice still mattered. Kara saw what I was doing. You'll kill us both. If this thing transmits, everyone dies. She hesitated, then nodded. Then let's finish it. The aliens poured in from every entrance, beams of light cutting through the chamber. Kara opened fire, mowing them down. I sprinted to the sphere, the detonator beeping in my hand. The voice grew louder. Elias Thane, your defiance completes the cycle. We remember this moment. We will remember you. I slammed the charge against the sphere. Energy crackled violently. Time to forget, I said. I grabbed Kara and pulled her toward the exit. The countdown hit 3, 2. A sudden blast of light enveloped us. The floor vanished. We fell. When I opened my eyes, there was no sound. We were lying on the edge of a cliff, the tower in the distance burning from within, its surface collapsing in on itself like molten glass. The sky was bleeding light. Kara groaned beside me, helmet cracked but alive. You did it? I think so, I said. But then the ground shifted. The horizon flickered, and for a moment, I saw something impossible. The planet wasn't breaking apart. It was reassembling. From the crater where the tower stood, a new structure began to rise, smoother, brighter, faster. The architects rebuilding themselves. Kara saw it too. They're not dead. They can't die, I said quietly. Not like us. We watched as the new tower formed, stretching higher into the clouds. Its surface rippled with symbols, including one I recognized, the insignia of the Oberon. They're absorbing our data, Kara whispered. Even now. I turned away. Then we finished what Rian started. Ow! I looked toward the sky. A flash, distant, metallic. The retrieval drone descending through the atmosphere, exactly as Rian predicted. That's our ride, I said. The next hours blurred into motion. We scavenged what gear we could, repaired our suits, and climbed the ridge toward the drone's trajectory point. It wasn't stealthy. The thing glowed like a falling star, enormous, shaped like a spearhead descending from orbit. The air screamed as it landed. No explosion, just pressure like space itself bending. The ground cracked. The drone was 300 meters tall, seamless silver, covered in glyphs that pulsed like heartbeat rhythms. We hid behind an outcropping, watching as smaller constructs emerged from its surface, collecting debris from the battlefield, scanning, disintegrating, absorbing. Kara whispered, "Where do we get in?" I pointed to a vent at the base. Maintenance hatch. Rian said the drones have human access pathways. They adapt to whatever species they're harvesting. She smiled grimly. Convenient. We sprinted through the haze, slipping between moving constructs until we reached the hatch. It opened at our touch. Inside was silence. The walls glowed faintly blue, like veins carrying light instead of blood. Every sound echoed too long. Feels like being inside one of their arteries, Kara muttered. We followed the central corridor upward until we reached a circular chamber filled with crystalline pillars. In the center, a console pulsed rhythmically, a heart of data. This must be the uplink, I said. Think it still connects to orbit? I nodded. That's the point. Kara slowly. Then let's send them a goodbye message. I accessed the interface. Human symbols flickered for a moment, then alien ones replaced them. I recognized one of the sequences, the pattern from the Oberon's distress beacon. They had copied everything. I overrode the protocol and rerouted the core systems. I can flood the entire network with feedback, overload their transmission pathways. Might fry every relay on the planet. Will it destroy them? Maybe not, but it'll blind them. Kara similet faintly. Good enough. She set up defensive charges around the chamber. When this goes off, it's going to light the sky. I nodded, fingers flying across the interface. Ready. The symbols aligned. The drone's hum deepened. Then, silence. The sphere above us flickered, projecting a single image, Miko again. But this time, her expression was calm. Peaceful. Elias, she said softly. You can't win by destroying. They'll rebuild. They always do. Then what do you want me to do? I shouted. Remember, she said. That's how they began. That's how they'll end. Her image faded. The chamber pulsed once, and the system started to overload. Elias, Karayelet. It's going critical. Then run. We bolted for the exit. The corridor filled with white light, energy tearing through the walls. The hum turned into a roar. As we leapt through the hatch, the entire drone erupted into the sky, a column of blue fire shooting upward, tearing through the clouds. The shockwave threw us back, tumbling through dust and debris. When the light faded, the sky was clear. No drones, no lights, no tower, just silence. Hours later, we found ourselves standing at the edge of a massive crater. The surface was glassy smooth, reflecting the stars above. Kara took off her helmet, letting the alien wind brush her face. You think we did it? For now, I said. She smiled faintly. Hell of a way to go. Who said we're done? I looked toward the horizon, a faint glimmer in the sky, the silhouette of a ship breaking through orbit. Kara followed my gaze. Rescue? Maybe, I said. Or maybe the next ones. We watched as the ship descended, its lights flickering like dying stars. For a brief second, I thought I saw the Oberon's insignia on its hull. Then the realization hit. It wasn't rescue. It was another trap. Kara cursed under her breath. It never ends, does it? I shook my head slowly. No, but this time we know. The ground trembled again. Beneath our feet, faint lines of light began to pulse. The same patterns as before, crawling through the black glass like veins awakening. Calyx 3 was still alive. I looked at the sky one last time and whispered to no one, like and subscribe, if you want to hear how it really ended. Then the light swallowed us. When I came to, I was weightless. My visor was cracked, HUD flickering, oxygen low, vitals red. A faint white glow pulsed beneath me, rippling through the glassy ground like veins of liquid light. We hadn't escaped. The explosion didn't destroy Calyx 3. It woke it. Kara was lying a few meters away, motionless. I crawled to her, dragging my broken arm across the shards. Her suit was half sealed, helmet gone, face pale but breathing. Kara, I whispered, hey, stay with me. Her eyelids fluttered. You blew up a god, she murmured, half smiling, and it didn't even flinch. I looked up. Above us stretched the sky. Not the blue haze I remembered, but something else entirely. The clouds were gone, replaced by a colossal structure hanging in the stratosphere. A ring of light spinning slowly. The architect's core hive. They'd pulled the entire tower network into orbit, creating a singular megastructure, their final form. And at its center, a beam of energy pierced straight through the planet. Kara followed my gaze. Tell me that's not what I think it is. They're rebooting, I said. They're merging the planet with their network. She laughed bitterly. We blew up their server, so they built a bigger one. I looked around. The ground beneath us had begun to sink, slowly spiraling downward into a massive funnel of light. We weren't on solid ground anymore. We were standing on the surface of a machine. The realization made my blood run cold. This isn't a planet, I whispered. Calyx 3 was never a world. It's a construct, a seed of the architects. And now it's hatching, Kara said. We had two choices, die here or reach the core again before the merge completed. Rian's drone, or what was left of it, lay shattered a few kilometers away. Its fusion cell might still have enough juice to overload the hive's central conduit. One last detonation. Can you walk? I asked. Kara pushed herself up, grimacing. Can you? Barely, but that's all we need. We started moving. Every step sent ripples through the glass surface. Beneath us, I could see shapes moving, silhouettes of the constructs, thousands of them, assembling within the translucent layers like insects under ice. They're replicating, Kara muttered, rebuilding their army. The air shimmered with static. The planet's hum grew into a deep resonance, vibrating in our chests. I checked the readings. The energy spike was rising exponentially. The merge would complete in less than an hour. We ran. Halfway to the drone, the surface began to fracture. Thin cracks of white light opened beneath our feet, spreading fast. Then came the sound, metallic shrieks echoing from below. Run! Kara shouted. Figures burst through the cracks, skeletal constructs, half-formed, their bodies molten and twitching as they clawed their way out. Their faces were human for a split second. Eyes, mouths, memories, then warped into featureless chrome. They were new, freshly printed from the hive's replication cycle. Unfinished copies of us. I fired, plasma bolts burning holes through their bodies. Kara swung her rifle like a club, smashing another aside. But for everyone we dropped, 3 more emerged. We sprinted through the chaos, firing until the weapons overheated. The ground beneath us began to slope downward. The funnel was pulling everything toward the beam in the center. Gravity tilted. The sky spun. We slid. We tumbled for what felt like minutes before landing hard on a platform of glowing crystal. Below us, an abyss. Above us, the ring structure, rotating faster now, lightning streaking across its circumference. At the edge of the platform stood something massive. The drone's fusion core, still intact and pulsing. We'd made it. Barely. Kara knelt beside it, breathing hard. You think it still works? I checked the diagnostics. Enough to vaporize a city. We can rig a cascade through the hive's energy veins. Then let's light the match. As I began rerouting the conduits, Kara looked toward the abyss. You ever think about what happens after? After what? After all this? If we survive. I smiled faintly. I'll take 5 minutes of air and silence. She chuckled. That's the best offer I've had all week. The core's light brightened. Circuits across the platform began to glow in response, energy flowing outward in fractal patterns. Then a voice echoed from everywhere at once. Elias Thane. It was calm, measured, resonant, the same collective tone as before, but sharper now, more focused. You have entered the heart of creation. You cannot destroy what you are part of. I looked up. I'm not part of you. You misunderstand, the voice said. Your consciousness is the architect. Your species is the echo of ours. Every thought you claim as your own began here. Kara spat. Save the theology. The air shimmered. From the beam above, a shape descended. A humanoid form made entirely of light, shifting and flickering like data made flesh. It was the Architect Prime. Its face was mine. Identical. Expressionless. Eyes of molten white. Kara froze. Elias. I raised my weapon. Don't look at it. The entity spoke again. My voice perfectly mirrored. Conflict is illusion. You are the continuation of our code. When you die, you return to the pattern. You cannot resist yourself. Watch me, I said. I fired. The blast went straight through it, harmless. The figure stepped closer, unfazed. Its hand extended, touching the edge of my damaged visor. Instantly, my mind flooded with images, memories not my own. Cities of light, civilizations evolving from energy to matter. A cycle of creation and extinction repeated over millennia. I saw Earth, a pale dot in the void, receiving a signal centuries ago. A fragment of architect code that seeded human evolution itself. We weren't visitors. We were their descendants. Do you see now? The figure said. There is no alien, only memory. The revelation tore through me. Everything, the technology, the dreams of exploration, the drive to reach the stars, all of it might have been programmed. But Kara's voice snapped me back. Elias, don't listen. I looked at her, sweat, blood, defiance. Human, that was the difference. I stepped back from the apparition. If that's true, then maybe it's time to end the loop. The figure tilted its head. You would destroy your own origin if it means being free. I slammed my hand down on the fusion core's control panel. The platform erupted in light. Warning glyphs flared across the surface. The beam above began to destabilize, its perfect symmetry fracturing. The architect's form wavered, voice distorting. You cannot. Pattern collapse, entropy. Exactly, I said. Let chaos in. The construct lunged, but Kara fired a concentrated burst straight through its chest. The energy dispersed like shattered glass. I grabbed her hand and ran. The platform cracked beneath us as the fusion core overloaded. Columns of light erupted from the ground, tearing upward. The entire hive screamed, a chorus of synthetic agony. We reached the ridge overlooking the abyss. The beam's pull was collapsing inward now, sucking everything into a growing singularity. Kara looked at me. We won't make it out. I know. She nodded slowly. Then let's make it count. We turned together, raised our weapons, and fired into the core as the light engulfed us. I expected pain. Instead, there was silence. Then, weightlessness again, but different. When I opened my eyes, I wasn't in the hive anymore. I was floating in a vast, white expanse, infinite, calm, empty. My body was whole. No armor, no wounds. Miko stood before me. Her eyes were soft, not the cold reflection from before. You did it, she said. You broke the pattern. Where's Kara? I asked. She's here. All of you are. Between pulses. I frowned. What is this place? The space between death and data. The architects built it to preserve memory after physical dissolution. You destroyed the core, but consciousness persists. So we're dead? Not exactly, she said. You're uploaded, but not controlled. Free. I looked around and saw millions of faint silhouettes in the distance, flickering like constellations. Human forms, each one glowing faintly. The others, I whispered. The lost crews. They're awake now. You gave them that. I turned back to her. then send us home." She smiled. "There is no home left where you came from, but maybe you can make one here." The light shifted again, and suddenly I was standing on solid ground. A familiar sound filled the air, wind. Calyx 3, reborn. Except this time, it wasn't metal or glass. It was green. Grass swayed under my boots. The horizon shimmered with forests, oceans, skies of blue and gold. A world reprinted from memory, but alive. Kara stood beside me, staring in disbelief. "Are we dreaming?" I shook my head. "No, we're rewriting." The sky above still held faint traces of the architect ring, fragments of it now orbiting peacefully, like broken halos. "What now?" she asked. I looked up. "Now we live." She smiled faintly. "And if they come back?" I loaded the last working plasma cell into my rifle, slung it across my shoulder. "Then we'll be ready." Years, or maybe minutes, later, I found a quiet ridge overlooking a valley of crystal lakes. I set my helmet down beside me, recording one final entry. "This is Commander Elias Thane, formerly of the Oberon. If anyone ever finds this, know that Calyx 3 is not what it was. The architects are gone, or sleeping. Humanity lives on here, in code and memory, rebuilt from what we were. Maybe that's all we ever were. But if you're hearing this, don't come looking. Some ruins are meant to stay buried." I paused, looking toward the sky where the fragments of the ring glowed faintly in the twilight. For a moment, they almost looked like stars. Then I added quietly, "This is not the end. It's just the next version." The screen on my suit blinked one last message before fading. "Upload complete. Humanity 2 initiated." And somewhere deep beneath the surface, the heart of Calyx 3 began to beat again, slow, steady, alive. I don't remember the last time I slept. Maybe 3 days. Maybe a week. Time has dissolved into the slow pulse of the reactor core, its failing rhythm echoing through the metal bones of what's left of the Odyssey. The ship is no longer a vessel. It's a tomb, hanging half buried in the sand, split open like a carcass. Outside, the storms of Epsilon 3 move like slow oceans, rivers of violet dust crawling over the horizon. Somewhere beneath that haze, the enemy still searches, cold, efficient, unrelenting. But they're running out of time. So am I. The reactor countdown reads 3 hours, 47 minutes, and 12 seconds. That's how long until it overloads. When I rerouted the core to overload manually, I knew what it meant. The alien mothership, that monolithic obsidian shape floating above the ridge, is feeding off the same energy signature that powers our reactors. If I can push the frequency to critical before they drain it, the explosion will trigger a chain reaction through their network. It'll fry everything within 100 kilometers. Them. They're drones. Maybe me. Definitely me. But maybe that's the point. I climbed through the broken hatch into the corridor that used to lead to engineering. The floor groans under my boots, half-melted panels, frozen wires. I passed a message board where the crew once left scribbled notes. Rations restocked Tuesday. Don't forget the birthday shift for Rhea. The words are still there, burned into the metal by heat and memory. Rhea. Her voice still haunts the comms when I sleep. Not a ghost, just an echo of her last transmission. The moment the aliens boarded her section, I can still hear her breath, her panic, and then static. She was my navigator, my friend, maybe more than that, though we never said it out loud. Out here, there wasn't time for maybe. Only survival, only missions, and now only this. As I reach the reactor chamber, the light shifts. The air feels thicker, warmer. The violet hue outside flickers against the glass viewport like a dying sunset. The console in front of me blinks red, manual override armed. I slide my hand over the biometric pad. The ship hums low, like it recognizes me. A soft voice breaks through the static of the comms. "Commander Hale, you're still alive." My heart skips. I turn toward the sound. The internal monitors flicker, and for a moment, I see a face, human, familiar. It's Dr. Lin, the ship's AI technician. But she's supposed to be dead. I uploaded part of my neural code into the ship before the crash, she says, her image stuttering. Not all of me survived, but enough. Enough for what? I whisper. To help you finish it. Her eyes shift toward the reactor readout. They're adapting. Their frequency has changed. You won't be able to trigger the detonation manually anymore. My throat tightens. Then how? You'll have to link yourself to the core. Use the interface port. Human neural tissue still has higher signal volatility than synthetic processors. It might push the wave past critical. You're asking me to become the bomb. No, she says quietly. I'm asking you to end it. The ground trembles. A low thunder rolls through the valley, not from the sky, but from above. Through the viewport, I see it. The alien mothership descending slowly, silently, cutting through the clouds like a blade of black glass. It's the size of a city, casting shadows that swallow the wreckage below. And then I see them, the drones, hundreds of them, pouring out of the vessel like metallic insects. They move in coordinated swarms, scanning, hunting. They found me. I turn back to Lynn's projection. How long if I start the link now? 2 minutes until overload. 1 until they breach. I nod. Then let's make it count. The neural port is buried beneath the reactor console, a tangled mess of cables, metal, and fluid lines. I pull off my gloves, exposing the scarred skin of my palms. I can still see the burns from the crash. I press the interface needle against my wrist, and pain bursts like lightning on my arm. The ship reacts instantly. Lights flicker, alarms scream. My vision doubles, then collapses inward. Suddenly, I'm inside the system. Not physically, but somewhere between thought and machine. The reactor pulses like a heartbeat, and through it, I feel everything. The hum of energy, the crackle of alien frequencies trying to invade, the dying breath of the ship itself. Lynn's voice echoes inside my mind. Focus, Hale. Match their signal. Then invert it. I breathe hard, my pulse syncing with the reactor's rhythm. And then I feel them, the aliens, their presence inside the signal. Cold, deliberate, layered thought patterns that don't feel organic. They aren't communicating, they're calculating. To them, we're noise, a statistical error to be erased. I push harder. My mind floods with images, stars folding into darkness, the crash, Ria's hand slipping from mine as the bulkhead sealed. I channel it all into the signal. Pain, memory, love. The frequency spikes. Hale, stop, it's too much. Lynn's voice shatters. If you push further, you won't come back. I whisper through the static. That's the idea. The drones break through the hull. The sound is deafening. Metal screaming, footsteps approaching. I feel the tremor of their movement through the ship's bones. But I can't move. Not anymore. My body is gone, dissolved into the current. What's left of me is light and data, a flicker in the system, a pulse inside the dying reactor. I see the mothership through the viewport, hovering, feeding off the energy I'm about to detonate. I remember Ria's laugh, Lynn's calm voice, the faces of my crew, gone but not forgotten. And I whisper the words I've been holding since the day the Odyssey fell. Mission complete. 02:00, 01:00, 00:59. The energy waveform reaches critical. The air distorts. The alien signal surges through me, trying to assimilate, trying to erase. But I don't let it. I twist the frequency, inverting it, turning their logic against itself. The system screams, a soundless burst that feels like tearing the universe in half. I glimpse flashes, alien structures collapsing, data chains fracturing, memories burning like paper. And in that final second, I understand them. They weren't gods. They were survivors, running from extinction, devouring anything that still burned. Just like us. But now it's over. The explosion blooms outward in silence. From orbit, it must look beautiful. A ring of white fire expanding through the clouds, swallowing the mothership whole. The desert turns to glass. The storm dissipates. And at the center of it all, the wreck of the Odyssey burns like a second sun. Then nothing. They found the signal 23 years later. A deep space salvage probe, tracing the ghost of an energy burst that had once registered on every interstellar array in the quadrant. They expected debris, radiation, maybe fragments of the Odyssey. Instead, they found the core, still pulsing. Inside it, a voice, distorted, fractured, human. This is Commander Elias Hale. If you're hearing this, we made it count. Tell them we fought back. Static, then silence. The probe's AI hesitated before transmitting the log back to Earth. For a moment, it registered a faint neural pattern still active inside the signal. Unrecognizable, but undeniably conscious. Somewhere, deep in the ruins of Epsilon 3, the light of the reactor still flickers. A heartbeat, a memory, a man who became a star. Like and subscribe if you want more stories from beyond the stars. Now, let me tell you what really happened on Calyx 3. The alarm wasn't screaming yet. It was howling. A low, guttural tone that made the metal in my chest vibrate. I remember the smell first. Ozone and burnt polymer. The cabin was lit red, warning glyphs crawling across every display. The stars outside the viewport were twisting, stretching like they were being ripped apart. Elias, controls gone. Miko's voice cut through the static, then vanished as the ship lurched sideways. Gravity folded in half. My shoulders slammed against the console. I saw sparks burst from the guidance core. Then the entire deck tilted 90 degrees. "Brace," someone shouted, maybe me. We hit atmosphere at a bad angle. The Oberon was never meant to glide. It was a long-haul transport, a brick with engines. When the alien beam tore through our right stabilizer, we became a falling city. Through the cracking viewport, I caught a glimpse of the planet below, a swirl of violet clouds, lightning crawling like veins through the atmosphere. Beautiful, terrifying. And then, impact, a thunderclap of sound. The hull screamed. Everything turned white. When I woke, there was silence. Not peace, the kind of silence that means everything else is dead. The cabin was half collapsed. Frost crept along the interior glass, and somewhere in the corner, a small fire tried to burn in zero oxygen. I unbuckled the harness, stumbled over a broken panel, and called out, "Miko, Jalen, anyone." My breath fogged in front of my face. My voice didn't echo. The air was thick, heavier than nitrogen. The console was black. No signal. No orbit feed. The Oberon had been part of the Odyssey convoy, 6 ships bound for Eurifa, humanity's first colony beyond the Orion Barrier. We'd left dock 72 hours ago. Then the transmission, an unknown contact near Vega Drift. Cold, silent, no transponder. And then the beam. It had cut through the hull like it knew where to aim. I found Miko under a section of corridor plating, pinned at the waist. Her eyes fluttered open when I knelt beside her. "Still alive?" she whispered, voice hoarse. "Yeah," I said for now. Her suit was leaking air, a slow hiss barely audible. I patched it with a sealant strip, but she'd lost too much blood. "Who did this?" she asked. "I don't know. Not pirates." We both knew that much. Pirates didn't have weapons that could bend gravity. She coughed. "Get the distress beacon. Tell them we found them." "Found who?" But she didn't answer. When I reached the hatch, I stopped. Outside the cracked glass, I could see the sky, or whatever passed for one here. A luminous haze, deep indigo with faint streaks of silver. The ground was black, like volcanic glass. There were shapes in the distance, obelisks or mountains impossible to tell. And then, far above, a flash. Something was descending through the clouds, a cluster of silver lights, moving in perfect formation. The ones who shot us down were coming to finish it. I grabbed what I could, survival pack, plasma cutter, oxygen cells, and crawled through the twisted passage toward the rear bay. Every sound echoed too long. My boots crunched over frost and debris. Somewhere in the distance, metal groaned. Not from the ship, but from outside, like the planet itself was breathing. At the aft hatch, I forced the manual lever. The door released with a burst of vapor. The landscape outside looked wrong. The horizon curved upward slightly, as if the world itself was a bowl. Black ridges jutted from the surface like the bones of something ancient. The air shimmered with a faint electrical current. Every few seconds, a static pulse ran through my visor. "Suit integrity, 87%, the onboard AI muttered. Override ambient scan, I said. Atmosphere, 61% nitrogen, 22% unknown compound. Toxic to human lungs after 20 minutes exposure. Figures. I stepped out. The Oberon lay half-buried in obsidian dust, its hull glowing faintly where the re-entry burn hadn't cooled. 100 meters away, a crater still steamed from impact. Above me, the violet sky cracked with silent lightning. Then movement. I dropped behind a shattered engine cowling. 3 figures were descending from the lights, sleek shapes gliding on anti-grav fields, no visible propulsion. Metallic exosuits, angular and seamless, like they were carved from the same alloy as their ships. No faces, just a single vertical slit of pale light. They landed without sound. I held my breath. One of them raised a hand, and the air hummed. Fragments of the Oberon began to lift from the ground, rotating in a slow spiral. The alien tilted its head, scanning, analyzing, and then it pointed directly toward the wreckage where Miko's body still was. I wanted to move, to stop them, but I couldn't. My muscles locked. A beam of white light swept across the debris. The remains of the control cabin lifted, hovered, then disintegrated into dust. No heat, no fire, just gone. The 3 figures stood in a triangle, motionless. Then, in perfect unison, they turned their heads toward me. They found me. I ran. The surface wasn't solid. Every step cracked thin glass, releasing bursts of gas that shimmered blue. I didn't look back. The air thinned quickly, my lungs tightening against the suit's recycled flow. Behind me, a sound, not mechanical, not natural. A vibration that crawled through bone. A pulse hit the ground beside me. Invisible, but strong enough to fling me sideways. My visor cracked again, a spider web across the left side. I rolled down a slope, over jagged rocks, until I hit a hollow, a shallow ravine filled with what looked like metallic sand. For a moment, everything was silent again. I crawled behind a ridge and activated the beacon. The holographic display flickered weakly. Signal strength, 12%. It wasn't enough. The device sparked and went dark. Then I saw the reflection, a faint shimmer on the opposite slope, like heat distortion, but too regular. Cloaked. I lifted the plasma cutter, set it to maximum, and fired. The air burst with light, revealing a silhouette, tall, armored, motion fluid and predatory. It staggered back, then lunged. I rolled aside as a literal blade of blue energy, sliced into the sand where I'd been. The ground hissed, glassifying instantly. I fired again, but the cutter overheated. The weapon flickered and died. The alien raised its arm, and then, suddenly, a deafening explosion tore through the valley. The ground bucked. A wave of heat slammed into my chest. When I looked up, a new figure was standing between me and the alien. Human, or close enough. Her suit was different, black, reinforced, marked with an old military insignia. She fired a pulse rifle that glowed like molten light. The alien staggered, its armor cracking. "Move!" she shouted, voice cutting through my comms. I didn't argue. She grabbed my arm, dragged me behind a ridge, and fired another volley. The alien retreated, flickering, vanishing back into invisibility. We sat there, breathing hard. "Who the hell are you?" I asked. "Lieutenant Kara Nix, Oberon 19. You're lucky we crashed first, or they'd have turned you into dust already. There are more survivors? 3, maybe 4. Depends on what you call alive." "What are they?" She looked at me, visor reflecting the faint blue lightning. "They're not here to talk. They're here to erase." We moved at dawn, or what passed for it. The horizon brightened slightly, revealing more of the terrain. The ground was laced with crystalline veins that pulsed faintly, as if the planet itself had circuitry. Kara led me toward a cluster of wreckage a few kilometers away, what remained of her landing module. 2 survivors huddled inside a makeshift shelter, an engineer named Vale and a medic, Harris. Both looked half dead. "Any comms?" I asked. Vale shook his head. "Every frequency jammed. They're flooding the spectrum with white noise." "Why? So no one can call home?" Kara paced the narrow space, checking her rifle. They knew exactly where to hit us. The convoy wasn't random. Someone gave them our coordinates. You think there's a mole? I said. She didn't answer. Outside, the wind began to rise, thin dust particles scraping across the hull. Through a crack in the wall, I saw shapes moving again in the distance, small at first, then growing larger, luminous against the haze. They're sweeping the crash sites, Kara said. Systematic. No survivors. Then we move, I said. Where? I looked out at the endless black plain. Up. Find higher ground, maybe get a signal out. Valilogid, dry, hollow. There's no up here, Commander. You looked at the horizon? It bends inward. He wasn't wrong. The planet wasn't a sphere. It was concave, like a massive artificial basin. And then it hit me. We're not on a planet. I whispered. We're inside something. Karafronit. Inside what? Before I could answer, the walls began to glow. A soft, white light seeped from the ground, crawling up the metal, tracing patterns like circuitry. Power surge. Vale said. No, murmuret. They found us. The first shot came through the ceiling. Pure energy, silent, white hot. It vaporized the upper hull in a single burst. The air imploded. We dove out the side, hatch as the module exploded behind us. Outside, the air was alive with movement. Dozens of silver figures advancing in formation, their lights cutting through the haze like knives. Drones hovered above them, mapping the terrain in pulsing beams. Scatter! Kara shouted. I ran left, diving behind a broken strut. Plasma fire lit the air, clean, surgical, deadly. One of the drones passed overhead. I fired the cutter at its underbelly. The beams sliced it open, and it spiraled into the ground, detonating with a blinding flash. For a moment, I saw everything. The landscape, the ships, the swarm. There were hundreds of them. No insignia, no markings, just cold precision. Kara yelled something through the comms, couldn't make it out. Then her signal cut to static. A beam hit the ground beside me, sending shards of molten glass spraying through the air. My visor fractured again, sealing systems flickering red. Warning, oxygen critical. I kept running. The terrain sloped downward again, into a canyon lined with metallic ridges. I slid down, gripping the edge with one hand. The drop was 50 meters. No choice. I jumped. The fall knocked the breath out of me. I landed hard, rolled, and came to rest beside a glowing fissure. The light inside, it wasn't natural. It pulsed rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat. I looked up. The sky had vanished, replaced by a dome of moving metal shapes, closing in. And then, for the first time since the crash, I heard a sound that didn't belong to them. A human voice. Weak, faint, coming through the comms. Elias, if you can hear me, get to the beacon array. Coordinates uploaded. Hurry. It was Miko's voice. But Miko was dead.